Hello to all my people, and if you're watching live, checking us out on YouTube, or listening on your favorite podcast provider, you are most definitely my people. Welcome to another episode of Botched and Chair Shots. I'm your host, a chef by trade and a mark by choice. I am the Will Gray, and joining me tonight, I have a plethora of people sitting on this panel tonight, and I'm going to start first and foremost with two of the boys from the table spot making their Botched Spots and Chair Shots debut. It's Sean and Mike. What's up, gentlemen?
What's up?
How are you? Everything good?
Yep. Ready to kick ass tonight.
Ready to kick ass and take names, or kick names and take ass, whichever happens. But in the middle of the top, he is the one and only. He is my co-host from Nerdy News at 420. He is one of the co-hosts from the Wrestle Talk Wolfpack. He is everybody's absolute favorite Ginger Ninja. It's our boy Jaxbo. Jax, how are you?
I have COVID, so I'm doing pretty good.
You have COVID? You have COVID?
Well, I mean, I don't know if that's how it works over the internet, but I did have COVID.
You did have COVID. How are you feeling?
I'm doing fantastic.
Tom's here. What's up, ladies and gentlemen?
Hello, Tom.
And Allison. Tom's here. Tom's probably... Looking at the time, Tom's probably having lunch right about now, I would assume. It's about lunchtime for Tom in Tom's world. But also perched upon her iron throne in the boss bitch's corner, she is the Beyonce to my Hova. She's the Bonnie to my Clyde. She is the brains behind the operation. She's the boss bitch, Miss Al. Al, what's up? How are you?
I'm good. Just trying to recover from the show last night. We were at New South Pro Wrestling in Florence, Alabama.
What's up, B. Dave?
So yeah, no, it's just been kind of a chill day. I took a nap, so that was nice. Slept till 11, and then I took a nap.
Well, here we go. We always do it the same way every time, no matter what. Where the fuck was my invite? What's up, Shadow?
What's up, Shadow?
I'm just going to throw it out there. We're just going to have it. We're just going to start the same way every time because that's what we do here. And I'm going to ask. It's a very simple question. But when I ask it, I'm going to tell you. I want you to think long and hard about it. Yes, that is what she said. But gentlemen, lady, singular, lady and gentlemen, the one and the three. What has you pissed off for greatness this week in the world of professional wrestling? What has you the most worked up? It could be good, bad, and different. Somebody's gear, anything. What has you the most worked up this week? Al, you want to go first?
Yes.
All right, Al, you go first. What has you pissed off for greatness this week?
I mean, we always say that, like, brand splits don't matter, but clearly also rules don't matter and everything. Like, they kept changing the rules for the tribal combat. Like, at first it was no Samoans can interfere, and then it was changed to only Samoans can interfere. Listen, that's
a Mandela effect.
No, it's not. Mandela effects are just because people have shit memories. Mandela effects are not real. Like, they should have ended this bloodline story. Like, it's literally dumb now. Like, why are you going to have Jimmy run in with a mask and, like, fuck it all up? Like, is Jimmy on Roman's side? Is he on his own side? Like, it's dumb. So, like, we did this whole story of, like, Jay wanting to do his own thing. Now we're going to do the exact same story with Jimmy. Fucking stupid. I'm sick of the bloodline. I'm sick of Roman. Like, this was a great story, like the best long-term storytelling ever. And then they shit on it last night. They absolutely took a dump on it. So there we go.
Did they go to the well one too many times, like I've been saying for the last month that I was worried about?
Yeah, like they literally just, they went to the well too many times and then took a big shit in it.
All right, I have a feeling SummerSlam will be coming up in news and rumors. Shadow said, where was the DQ and the Cody Brock match? Also, you know, kind of what Al was talking about, you know, fucking brand splits aren't real. Drafts don't matter and rules aren't a thing that are in, you know,
enforced.
I'm 100% in disagreement with you. I'm the complete opposite.
Of course, Scals.
Of course, Scals is the complete opposite.
I love you.
Let me see. One of the boys from the table spot. This is your first time here. Why don't you go next? What has you pissed off for greatness this week in the world of pro wrestling?
I'll go. I agree with Allison. I want this shit to fucking end already. Like, I literally screamed out when Jimmy turned on Jay. I was like, why? Fucking why? This has more twists and turns than a fucking
M. Night Shyamalan movie, man.
M. Night Shyamalan movie, exactly. Like, I'm not M. Night Shyamalan. I'm not going, what the twist? So I just why? That's what I'm pissed about.
AJ says Logan Paul using brass knuckles. Shadow saying, oh, the DQ in the Cody Brock match. I already said that one. B. Dave says Rousey and Shayna was also terrible. Jax, my brother from another mother.
Yes.
What has you pissed off for greatness, my bearded brethren?
The fact that I have to watch FTR and the Young Bucks for a third time.
Just in general, just Young Bucks FTR 3 was enough to have you pissed off.
My elite Mark Hart. Oh no.
And you're doing it at Wembley.
Wembley, yeah. So
That's
it's
just,
like
no,
JJ says, I don't know why people are upset about SummerSlam.
Oh my God, Shadow.
I
don't.
I think that's the best pairing, though. Like, if you're just going to put them in a straight-up tag match that you know is going to draw, that doesn't need a story to build just for a super show, which is what All In is, really. It's just a super show. Then FTR Young Bucks makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, I'll give them that. I'm not super keen or sold on the idea of it either, though. So
see, it makes you. You're totally correct. I agree with you. It doesn't need it already has a backstory. So you don't really have to do a lot of telling anything. It's a rubber match. But I don't right now. I just don't want to see it. Like, I think FTR could be doing so much more than chasing the Young Bucks again.
Brocast says Roman can't beat anyone clean.
He never has.
That's a good pissed off for greatness right there, Tom. Mike, comes to me and you, brother.
I hate to burst your guys' bubble. Seen an interview that Paul Heyman mentioned that the Bloodline storyline is only in the third inning. And if you use baseball metaphor, there's 9 innings in baseball unless you go into extras. So I think we all need to buckle up and be ready to see more of this thing go on. But the thing that is pissing me off the most is, and I've said it many times, I don't like the brand split thing. I don't like 2 world titles. And this whole thing with CM Punk coming back with the world title that was in his hands and making it a second world title. AEW doesn't need to do that. Like, 1 world championship is enough. We've seen MJF on all the shows already with that championship. That just goes to show that he can go on every show with the world title. They do not need to have 2 world championships. And I hope that is not the road they are going down. It seems like they're going down that road right now. I hope they stop it before it gets too out of hand.
Yes. I agree. I think for the most part. Like, nothing you said was too egregious for me to where I'm like, no way, Mike, you're crazy. Like, for the most part, I get it. I'm here for it. Do they even recognize it? Like, is it listed on the AEW site? Not really, but we're, 4 years into the existence of the promotion? Do they really need to already be playing the I'm the real world champion card when the world champion's lineage is still 1 hand long?
So
you know?
I can understand the whole thing of, CM Punk got injured. He was gone a few months, never got pinned, never got submitted. I can understand that. But have him come back and challenge MJF for the world title. Don't have him come back with the title that he had in his hand when he left and claim it as the real world championship and try and push this whole 2 world championship thing. Like, they don't need to do it. They don't.
Chat's going off between back and forth about Balor and Finn and the Priest.
I mean,
B Dave says they need to split the Outcasts. I don't necessarily think that's time for that yet, but we'll see. That's a let it play out, B Dave, for sure.
God, I hope not.
If we're in the third inning, Roman is going for that Bruno record. I don't think I've got 4 more years of Roman under my belt. I can say that securely.
I honestly don't think he wants 4 more years. To be fair, like, he's been wanting to take an extended break for 2 years now that he hasn't been able to get.
We'll see. They've got plenty of time to do it between now and Mania. If they push through Mania, he'll pass Bruno, the first Bruno reign, which was the 1,200 and something day reign. So he'll pass that one by Mania next year. So we'll see. I don't think they're going to go for the 2,800 day whatever another reign. Like, that's ridiculous to think about. They would put 3.5 more years on this. Like, do you think we're just barely maybe a third of the way, halfway through it, using your analogy? Like, that's wild to think about. 5 more years of this. Like, I don't think I've got 5 years of me invested into the bloodline anymore. They might go for Hogan's. They could definitely go for Hogan's 1,400 days.
I thought he passed Hogan already.
He passed Hogan's WWF, like, active something or another, one of those weird.
Yeah, there's so many different records.
Yeah, the one that stands is the 1428. I think is the total. I'm sure Scowls will come behind me with the actual amount. But there's a 14 and something, 14 and change that he can pass. If he held it to Mania 41, he would break Hogan's number 3 all time. No, yeah, number 3 all time, because Backlund and Bruno were both over 2K. Al. Oh, my turn. That's everybody except for me. My pissed off for greatness is the Shayna Ronda match. And here's why. Did we not learn anything in the Ken Shamrock Owen Hart with the Dan Severn match and the fucking the Hart dungeon? Did we not learn anything when Ken Shamrock had that phony Lion's Den BS stuff? Did we not learn anything when Jake Hager had the bullshit work, the shoot work in AEW? Like, have we learned anything from any of that to where we know that worked shoot matches don't work? Like, you can't do a fake real fight fake and expect it to look right. These women know they could go in there and spar for 10 minutes and make it look good and not hurt each other. Why didn't they just do that versus trying to make it look like an MMA fight? That's what has me pissed off for greatness is they should have just went in there and sparred for 10 minutes and it would have been better than the 10 minutes we got or whatever that was.
My question with this match was they said it was MMA rules. I thought there was going to be rounds. I thought there was going to be time limits.
Yeah.
This was just a wrestle. Like, I understand the MMA rules, the MMA fighting style, but it just seemed like a regular wrestling match, just them using their MMA, tactics.
Should have been a fight pit, exactly.
I agree, Brocast. I said Lions Den a fight pit.
Been a fight pit. But there was no, I understand no rope breaks. They go outside of the ring, they had to get right back in. They should have, if this was MMA rules, they should have did it with, point system, time limits, rounds. And then if somebody got knocked out or tapped out, then that would have been it. But it was just a unsanctioned fight, regular wrestling match with them using their tactics in MMA.
Well, Al, this is your contribution to the episode because I think you might busy bounce after you get done with this part of it. So, news and rumors. What you got for us this week? Anything flashy happen in the world of pro wrestling we need to talk about?
Yeah, I've got some. We'll talk about SummerSlam a little bit. I will say, as opposed to on the thing about the Becky and Trish match getting cut, you could tell that Becky was pissed off about that because she didn't even go to Detroit She didn't even go to support Seth. She stayed at home. So, like, she posted on her socials, like, about her being on the beach. Like, she didn't even go. Like, I would have much rather seen that on the card than fucking Rhonda and Shayna. I hope Rhonda goes away now. But anyways, on to decent rumors. Drama in the AEW women's locker room.
I knew this was going to get under Sean's skin. As soon as you saw it, I saw the look on his face change.
That Britt Baker is basically like a mean girl, and she's she's
a mafia don from the way.
Yeah, she's got a.
Who are we timing out, AJ?
Going on, which honestly, like, if anybody watched AEW All Access, you can kind of see like a little bit of her mean girl-ness, because she kind of tried to turn everyone against Thunder Rosa. Like, you see her plotting to make Thunder Rosa like relinquish that title. So I mean, they're saying it's not true, but like, honestly, I could see it being true.
So just from personal experience, and not to get too deep into this, I have 3 herniated discs in my back. I still do a normal job. I'm a delivery driver. So getting accused for doing other things while having a back injury, you can still do it. Like, you can still do other things. As long as you are mobile, you can still make movements. So for her, and I agree with you, she had the mean girl tactics toward Thunder Rosa. I completely am on Thunder Rosa's side on this because I experienced it firsthand, and you could still do things while having a back injury. Yeah. So I agree with that. The whole mean girls tactic thing, it's ridiculous.
Sean,
I hate that Thunder is getting brought into this. And this is from a personal standpoint, because I say it every fucking time.
That's your homegirl.
Yes. This woman, people don't know the woman behind the Thunder Rosa face paint.
And I would love to get to know her, Sean. Make that happen for me.
I'll try. This woman literally did not have to, but after Collision Saturday night, July 29th, called me personally to see if I was right after my mother passed. Literally an hour or so after my mom passed, she called me. Because my mom loved Thunder Rosa, and Thunder Rosa loved my mom. Thunder Rosa should not have her name be brought into this at all. It's Britt Baker being this. I don't even want to get into my heat with Britt Baker, but Britt Baker's this mean girl backstage. It's true. It's fucking true.
No, Sean, please tell me.
She can pretend that, she's like all for the women. Fuck off. That's all I'm going to say. Fuck off, Britt Baker.
Yeah. Who was it, Will? I can't remember her name that, like, made the tweet.
Lufisto.
Yeah. And so she got bullied off of Twitter for saying what she said. And, like, people were coming after her, like, saying, oh, she's just butthurt because she didn't get signed and yada, yada, yada. Like, I'm trying to see how I want to nicely word this. Like, where there's smoke, there's fire. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, she may have been mad that she didn't get signed, but, like, you don't just make up an elaborate story like this. And you can see, like, how much up, like, again, because of All Access, you can see how much up Britt Baker's ass Tony Khan is. Yes, JJ, Britt Baker is so mid. So mid.
We just talked about this on the Young Kings, and they were saying the same thing, that they used more of a mafia boss type analogy on the other show, because they were saying that women's division funnels through Britt Baker. She's the gatekeeper of it. And this was my analogy I used. I was like, you're in a multi-million-dollar company, people. TK signs your paychecks. If there's bad words about your company getting spewed on social media and the internet, you're literally paid to defend your company's honor. That's why all those AEW people, you ever seen the video where they're talking about the news and it's like all the different news anchors are saying the same thing and then they merge it together and it sounds like one voice? That's the way the tweets happened against Lufisto. It was like MJF and then Britt Baker and then this happened and then these people said it. And it was like they were all kind of saying the exact same thing.
Can I add that I love Saraya to death, don't get me wrong. But when she made the tweet about how Britt Baker bought Thunder Rosa's gear, I don't believe that shit for a second. I know Mel can. I'm sorry. I know Thunder.
You used your government name.
I know Thunder can afford her own gear. That's no problem for her. To make it think like Britt is buying these women their fucking gear. Sheree, you've been there for a cup of coffee. So I love you, but just shut up.
Can we talk about the pure success Thunder had before she got there? She wasn't just some indie something. She had the fucking Burke. She was the NWA Women's World Champion up until the point Serena Deeb took it off of her so she could go to AEW. Like
she held it well in AEW as well.
Exactly. She wasn't just some pushover in the indies that got lucky. She maybe didn't have a 7-figure contract yet, but Thunder Rosa wasn't, like the struggling indie hot dog and a handshake darling like some people you see that deserve to make it that just haven't yet. That wasn't Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa was getting her roses before AEW.
I even said it that it was the second All Out, I believe it was, during the pandemic when it was Sheeta and Thunder Rosa. I even said it, that match could have been billed as the main event for that pay-per-view.
And people just shit on Thunder Rosa because she thinks she's sandbag, and they say, "Oh, she did it to Marina Shafir, and they worked out the problem." No, Marina Shafir is just awful. I'm sorry, she's god awful.
Isn't that Roddy's girlfriend or Roddy's wife?
Yeah.
I left as Cobra Moon. Wasn't that Cobra Moon? Wasn't that her Lucha Underground character?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
I mean, they're making a movie about the title that she held. I don't see them making a movie about the AEW women's title that we literally never see.
Scissor me, Daddy Just. I'm glad you're here.
Shadow says Britt isn't new, but y'all are welcome to feel that way.
Oh, sorry.
The same people who say Britt's bad love Saraya. Shadow, I would really love for you to prove to me that Britt's not mid, but like outside of like a handful of matches, like that were good solely based upon, I feel like, her partners in those matches. Like Britt's pretty mid. She's not super great on the mic. Like she was the best that AEW had at the time when they started. But now they've brought in all of these other like great women, and Britt, I feel like, not as good. I mean, she's just not as good as them, but she's trying to still, like, I'm the boss.
And just to feed off what you were just saying, like, she likes to always brag about, oh, I was the first woman signed to AEW. That's great. And yeah, you were probably one of the best that was on that roster at the beginning. But now there's a lot better women coming into that promotion that have even surpassed her before they even step foot in AEW with their careers.
Two things. Technically, Brandy Rhodes was the first woman to sign an AEW contract because she signed hers the same day Cody signed his.
Can I rephrase what I said then? Because did Brandy sign as an in-ring competitor?
I believe she signed one as both at the time.
Okay.
And is AEW's women's division holding itself back with all the nitpicking they have between each other?
Yes, and Tony's holding them back because that was one of the other things that was said, is that like Tony Khan doesn't care about the women's division because they don't draw. Which I've said it many times. Tony Khan hates women because, I mean, we literally never see them.
Shadow also speaking facts. Everybody's cooking tonight. TK needs to learn to book that division. Make the Rampage slot a women's show. Thank you, Jamie. Speaking facts, my dude.
That'd be amazing.
You know what they should do? Is here at the end of the year, wait for Mickie James's contract to come up. Give Mickie James the pencil for the women's division in AEW and give her that hour every week on Rampage to book a women's show.
I can
Maria
agree with
Bennett
that.
there.
You do. You do have Marie Kanellis. You're totally right.
Isn't Serena Deeb also signed too?
Serena Deeb is also under AEW contract. Yes, sir.
You have all these smart minds that could book the women's division successfully, and Tony doesn't want to give up the reins.
Chris Hero just signed, and you can sign him or sign his wife, Serena Del Rey, or whatever her name was. I forgot her name, but
no, you're not wrong.
I mean, isn't technically Kenny Omega in charge of the women's division?
No, he gave up booking rights when he got the world title. He couldn't do both because he wanted to be able to focus on being the champion and not trying to maintain the booking rights of the women's division. He handed the pencil off to Tony Khan. Sorry, not Koki Khan. I misspoke there. Sorry. I accidentally said Koki Khan.
I can agree with the Mickie
and Madison Rain. Thank you, AJ.
Yeah.
I can agree with the Mickie James signing and then coming in and booking that division because I didn't get to see the pay-per-view that she booked, but I heard that it did better than the Evolution pay-per-view.
The Empower pay-per-view was lit, and I'm not saying that because, you know, I'm in bed with the NWA. The Empower was a fantastic pay-per-view. Like, it was booked well, the way they delivered it, the stories that were told, the fact that you had MLW, NWA, AEW, like you had talent from 5 or 6 different promotions competing. It was super well done. Empower was great, and it was all headed up by Mickie James. Give that woman her roses for that.
Yeah,
Friend of the show, Pollo Del Mar was part of that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant Cesaro. Sorry.
I heard it was better than the Evolution pay-per-view, so it's definitely something I plan on checking out. I don't care how old. I know it's, 2 years old? I don't care. Yeah. I'll still watch it just to say I seen it.
So, well, cool. I'm glad that this was a good discussion. It's nice when a group of men can talk positively about the ladies. I appreciate y'all. My next thing is, it's a little bit of SummerSlam. There were literally no returns or debuts at SummerSlam.
You know how pissed off I was? I was so pissed off Warhorse didn't debut.
Warhorse is the man, the most.
And it was the Slim Jim Battle Royal. It was a slot hole fit to debut Warhorse. I'm just saying.
Warhorse or bust. Warhorse in 40 or nothing.
Yep.
I think a lot of people were anticipating a Randy Orton return. And for some reason, I think he's taking his time on his return because he's what, 20, at least 20 years into his career. Past 20 years. He's 21 years because he debuted in 2002 or 2003, if I'm correct on that. I think at this point in his life, his career, with him being injured, I think he's taking his time, getting himself back to 100%.
And who's to say he's even coming back?
Exactly.
Just because they release a new version of his music, which is done by a band.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean shit.
Jamie said, you guys are so conditioned to surprises that when you don't get them, y'all get mad. It's like Pavlov's dog. If you ring the bell and you don't feed him, they'll bite your fucking leg off. That's the IWC.
You know what, Jamie? Leave me alone. I'm sad Goldberg didn't return, all right?
Get that evil out of here. Sean, you're out. No.
I think the thing with the returns, though, I mean, you look back at Money in the Bank, we got Drew McIntyre returned. Went face to face with Gunther. And it was perfect fit because of it being overseas in the UK and everything. I know Drew's not from there, but I think they tried to focus so much on the matches itself and all the in-ring stuff and not so much on having returns because we also got the cash in by EO, which
Was a
I
surprise.
mean, a lot of people predict that to happen no matter who won the women's title match.
And I wasn't mad about that.
No,
Well.
no. And who's to say what Bianca's, what condition Bianca was truly in after that match with the way she was moving? Was she truly injured? Was she not? And we could have seen, and just like it was said on commentary, could this be what we seen from Finn Balor back in, 7 years ago? He won the title, got injured, had to relinquish it, So I think it was a smart move to even make that happen just in case. And then all the focus on the tribal combat match. I mean, they put so much effort into that and so much effort into the Judgment Day storyline. I mean, we don't have to have big returns all the time. I don't think.
Or maybe we can spend less time on the Bloodline and the Judgment Day and actually, I don't know, do something with our women's division. I don't know. Maybe.
JJ says Bianca needs to work on her fake injuries, though, because she kept switching legs. I noticed that where she was grabbing the one knee, and then by the time she got back in the leg, she was limping on the other side. I was like, something about that ain't right.
See, and that's not I didn't notice. I didn't notice that. I didn't know she was switching legs. So, hooked me. Something I didn't focus on.
Bianca kind of has to turn heel now. Like, I can't see her staying as a face. I am kind of tired on WWE, like, shitting on her specifically at SummerSlam. Like, they could have easily let Asuka win and then Io cash in on Asuka. I think it's bullshit that they let Bianca win and then Io cash in. Like, that's... I mean, I guess, like, if she's turning heel, they needed that, but, like...
Shadow did call it. He said Bianca's winning and Io is leaving SummerSlam as champ. So he sent me the receipts of the messages. He called that shit.
Speaking of the returns, I guess this was supposed to happen at SummerSlam, but it didn't. Kyrie is going to be returning to AEW as soon as possible.
WWE. You said AEW.
Sorry, WWE.
Stardom came out and said that she has 2 dates left, one in September and one in October. So it's looking like a November return, possibly.
Oh, wow. All of the news says as soon as this week.
I think we'll see. What do you guys think about Kyrie, though, and the pirate ship?
So we're having 2 pirates, her and Baron Corbin.
So,
we could put him as a tag team.
I say this a lot, and exactly what I was about to say about if her and Asuka went back as a tag team. That's one thing that I seen them going in somewhat of the right direction with the women's tag team titles when it was on Shayna and Ronda. And then, obviously, we got the turn. Belts were taken off of them. Those belts switched hands. What, twice? Money in the Bank, and then on Monday Night Raw before we even got to SummerSlam. They're jumping those titles around. They're not putting anything behind them. I mean, and I've been saying it. They need to, if they're going to put something behind these women's tag team titles, they need to build, even if they can get 5 teams together and build a small tag team division, get actual tag teams. There's a lot of women in the back that aren't doing anything. And yeah, you would have to put them together and people would say, oh, well, they were just thrown together. But if they can become actual tag teams, just like teams like the Alpha Academy, Otis and Gable, I mean, why not? You can build them as tag teams and build a women's tag team division, even something small. You don't have to have that many teams.
See, I agree, because I was saying this on our show, Mike. They took the titles, the NXT titles, to unify the tag team titles off of the Unholy Union, who's one of my favorite tag teams right now, and done jack shit with them since. They haven't been on TV. With Kyrie coming back, put her with Asuka, like Shadow said, in the Kana character as Asuka, as the Kabuki Warriors. Make them dark and dangerous. Yeah. Like, make them a kick-ass team. Yep. So, make them badass fucking scary competitors for Chelsea and Sonya Deville to feud over, and then continue to build off that division.
I don't really understand like them continuing to take away women's titles. Like I don't understand why we need to consolidate NXT titles into main roster titles. Like that makes zero fucking sense. Like instead of taking away women's titles, let's add, and I've been saying this and I will preach on this fucking soapbox until it happens, we need a women's mid-card title in WWE. Plain and simple.
And I've been saying something like a television title, a title that can go between 3 shows: NXT, SmackDown, Raw.
And that's what they were supposed to do with these new versions of the tag titles, and still haven't done that like they said they would, like the previous versions.
Yeah. My next thing is, it's really a question. Did anybody actually watch Collision yesterday? Like
388,000 people did.
No.
I tried to.
That's what it said.
I tried to, but Xfinity said nope.
I did not watch it.
I didn't get the chance to see it yet.
I watched like halfway through and it deleted off my DVR.
I haven't watched it yet.
That must be a sign.
I'll probably watch it after we get off air. I'll turn it on while I listen to the table spot and take, that thing out of its home after the show comes off air.
Oh, my box gets shipped tomorrow.
You getting another one already?
Dude, I had to. They got a mushroom one. I had to.
What? I'm going to put that on my wish list and see if somebody will buy it for me.
Mushrooms, you say?
That's a different that's you need to come on Tuesday. This ain't the show for that.
Yeah.
They should just have the WWE Women's World Champion, one world title that is defended across Raw, SmackDown. Thank you, broadcast. Yeah. I mean, what difference? What good is it to have 3? Everybody needs 3 world titles. Think about how great it is. How great the restaurants are with both their chefs. Like how many Indian tribes that's successful of having multiple chiefs? Where would Catholicism be without both popes? Like, no, you need. How can you have one guy if you have 3 guys? Does that make sense? Or 5 guys or whatever it is. Sean's into. Do what?
They're supposed to be different restaurants.
They're supposed to be different restaurants.
What was Big E's old gimmick? Don't give me 3, give me 5 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the problem is this whole brand split thing, it's not working.
Brand splits aren't real and rules don't matter.
And neither do drafts.
Hey.
It's death, taxes, and brand splits not mattering. Those are the only 3 things are guaranteed in life.
Yeah.
AJ Lee is leaving. Wow.
Wow, indeed, Mike.
Wow.
No pun.
AJ's the company. Wow.
The women.
AJ Lee's leaving. Wow.
I just thought she was getting excited about her leaving and didn't finish the sentence.
What is it? It's women
Wow.
of wrestling
Okay.
or whatever.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, it's women of wrestling.
Yeah, so she's leaving her indie promotion. So rumor is she's probably going to be joining CM Phil in AEW.
Why?
So I'll say
to get lost in the mix.
I've seen a few episodes because my cable company sometimes doesn't hold certain shows, certain channels. So I've caught in a few episodes a while. And I will say this, for what they present and what they do for the hour that they're on TV or 2 hours, it's not bad. Could it be better? Yeah. But at the same time, it's not a bad product. They do put on a really good product, and they actually have a lot of good wrestlers in that promotion. They do. A lot of wrestlers I can see making it to a bigger promotion like an Impact or even MLW, even close to AEW. And that's where I can see some of those wrestlers going.
What? You mean? Whoa, where's that echo coming from?
Whoa.
Did you hear that?
I didn't hear an echo.
Okay, it was okay. I heard an echo real bad for a second.
Yeah, for a second you were talking, it was like, whoa.
Yeah, it was weird.
Was it me?
I lost my train of thought because I heard myself talking. It'll come back to me, as you were.
So no, I was just
Do you
saying
think-
I could see a couple of those wrestlers going to a bigger promotion than what they're in right now with being in WoW, with as good as they are.
I'll
No,
say
but-
this. The good thing about AJ leaving and possibly going to AEW is if she's a producer for the women's wrestling only, not on screen. As much as I'd love to see her back in the ring, she doesn't need to. Just help the women's division, the backstage.
The beautiful
Question is,
people are coming back on Impact.
Question is, and I didn't get to see the show. I didn't get to see the show yet because I know it premiered like a week or two ago. So no spoilers, please. But I know she's going to be on an episode or two of Heels. Could she be pursuing an acting career?
She's like a glorified extra.
Okay.
She is friends with a main character. They show her for 2.5 seconds in the first episode. I mean,
Okay.
she may be on more, but 2 episodes in, they showed her for 2.5 seconds. I don't even think she actually had a line. She's there because Punk's in it. Like,
Yeah,
he is a side character.
I seen in the
Shitty
promo
side
video of
character.
her like working with CM Punk in the ring, and then he says something, and then she said something back, like a smart ass remark back to him about like, "Oh, you're starting to slow down" or something like that.
Oh, like they haven't gotten to that in this show. But seeing Punk, I said this I think last week, with his tattoo CGI'd out was weird.
Oh yeah, I seen
Shadow's
season
playing
one.
double
and
duty on 2 fronts.
when I seen that on season 1, I was like, where did all his tattoos go? Like, he looks kind of awkward.
Jesus, Shadow.
Because at first you're like, is it Punk? It like what?
Yep.
That's definitely CM Phil.
It is.
No free shout outs to stars, but if you don't watch Heels, you should watch Heels. It's
Yes.
really fucking good. So I only have a couple more things. The Young Bucks and Kenny Omega have signed new multi-million-dollar deals. What?
7
7
figures, man. 7-figure contracts in wrestling are a big deal, even for AEW and WWE. Not that many people make 7 figures. So for them to get guaranteed 7-figure contracts is huge.
Yeah.
Now, I heard that they had some talk with Triple H about going to WWE. I like the move that they're staying in AEW because I don't want to see. I wouldn't have wanted to see them team up with Cody and form a faction in WWE and have like a watered down version of, you know, the Elite or anything like that. I like the fact that they're sticking with AEW and they're going to be there. I didn't see how long they were going to be there for. How long
Like they said that they're the E in All Elite, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But anyways, I like the fact that they signed with AEW and didn't choose to go to WWE.
I mean, honestly, they would get lost in WWE.
Yes.
And I think that they would be super mid in that tag team division because the tag teams that are established in WWE are leaps and bounds better than the fucking Young Bucks.
Young Bucks became the highest paid tag team in the history of pro wrestling. They did it without ever stepping foot in the WWE ring. We're always told their style wouldn't draw and they're killing the business and they'd go out of business, but here they still are. Yeah, that's also recency bias, though, because you're reading their fucking biography.
I don't know if the Bucks would get lost in the tag team division. I could see more so of Kenny Omega getting lost in the singles division over the Bucks getting lost in the tag division, because even when you look at the tag division in WWE, again, it's that most of their tag division nowadays is 2 guys being put together. They don't have many regular tag teams that started out and stuck together. Like, look what we just seen last night, the Usos. Of course, we don't know what's going to happen with them. We got to wait until SmackDown. But look at that. That team literally got the title put over them as the best tag team in WWE history, as people are saying and calling them. Now we're breaking them up. I mean,
I want to disagree with Mike here on him Kenny Omega being lost in the shuffle in WWE because Kenny Omega is a generational talent no matter where he goes. Kenny will be a main event star no matter where he goes. And I think Kenny Omega is that generational talent that doesn't need WWE at all. And he's proving it to be this multi-million-dollar contract in AEW. So either way, the news and rumors saying if he would have signed with WWE, he would have been on track to be the one to actually dethrone Roman. So that's just me.
I will agree that would have been a great match. That would have been a great match to see.
I think Kenny Omega is good where he is. And he should stay there or go away in general. This week we had Dynamite 200 and the return of RVD. Woo!
Walk. What do you say?
What do you
I think I popped harder for the song than I actually did his return.
Yeah.
I like what they're doing somewhat with this storyline. I like that they're focusing on Jack Perry because I like Jack Perry. I do. Whether he's Jungle Boy as a babyface, he's even doing good as a heel. I like Jack Perry. The focus of this being XECW guys coming in, I hope they only take it to the point where it's that sweet spot. I hope they don't overdo it. Like he started off with, flapping gums with Jerry Lynn. Obviously, Jerry Lynn can't get in the ring anymore. RVD's coming in. Bring in maybe one, if not two more people, and then bring Hook back in and have him and Hook go at it. Don't bring in a line of guys. Just two or three, two more guys, and then that's it. Even one would be that sweet spot. They don't need to go that far with bringing in a line of XECW guys.
As long as it's not like the Sandman or something.
I kind of would love to see the Sandman versus like Eddie Kingston or something. Come on.
I would just like to see Jack Perry actually wrestle people that are really on the AEW roster. Because all he's wrestled so far really is like babies and old fucks. Like,
wow.
He did all that stuff with Hook, and Hook has a job because
nepotism.
Let
me just say it. I mean, we speak facts here. We'll call it nepotism.
And then like he had the whole thing with Christian, and now like this with RVD. Like, I want to see him like going after actual people on the main roster. Like they did this stuff, with the 4 pillars and yada yada yada. Like, can we do some more of that and give him like real stories that can build, and not like these, let's just put you with whoever we are going to temporarily bring in. Like,
I just want to see them like the FTW title. It's cool. Like, it's a cool looking title. It's not sanctioned. First off, I would like to see Jack Perry get his hands on an actually sanctioned singles title. I know he was a tag champion, but I would like to see him get his hands on an actual sanctioned championship. But how I would like them to take away the FTW title is have Jack Perry and Hook face off. And as Hook's getting ready to pin Jack, have Taz come in. Doesn't have to get physical. Just have Taz come in, pin him, get the 1, 2, 3, get that belt out of there that we don't have to see it no more.
You know what I would like to see, if he can still wrestle, I'm not sure if he can, is Stevie Richards.
Ooh, that's not a bad idea.
I've heard that he apparently had some type of surgery not too long ago.
Yeah, because I know Raven can't really wrestle anymore, so
he's behind the scenes at Impact pretty much full time. He's under a deal with them. Oh, you got something else for us before we dive into the meat and potatoes of this conversation?
The very last thing that I have is like an interesting quote from Booker T about Dominic. I think they've slipped on a banana peel and they've got a bona fide star that they're going to be able to work with for the next 15 years. Do y'all feel like this, like the Bloodline story, do we feel like that this Dom situation is going a little long?
So I just read that Rhea Ripley did an interview this weekend and said that she believes the Judgment Day can last longer than the Bloodline. So I agree with that. I hope not either. And Sean, you know this. I've been saying this. Rhea Ripley needs to break away from the Judgment Day and be on her own. She needs to break away from Dom and be on her own. She is the dominant force of that group.
I agree, because after the Judgment Day, what the fuck is Dom going to do? Because I don't see much of Dom doing anything after Judgment Day.
Running back to Daddy. I
was going to say that too. I was going to say maybe they'll run like a storyline where he goes back to Ray and they reunite and, you know, become a tag team before Ray decides to hang up the boots.
Yeah.
Another tag team title run, maybe.
I feel like they've turned Rhea Ripley into a glorified valet that just happens to have a belt. She never defends her title. She's always no, but it's true. She never defends her title. She's always just on the fucking sidelines for Dom or the other Judgment Day members. Like, when does she wrestle? Never. She's a glorified valet that just happens to have a title right now.
Well, she's been going down to NXT, hasn't she? She was just on NXT not too long ago.
But she's
still doing nothing.
Yeah, she's still not doing anything. Like, no one's coming after her title. Nobody's even, like, hinting at challenging for her title. Like, they literally do nothing with her. Except shove her in, like, on TV for Judgment Day.
Well, they put it... I agree with that. I mean, she didn't even have a match last night.
No.
The biggest night of the year. Well, summer, I should say, not year, because WrestleMania is the biggest night of the year. But their second biggest pay-per-view of the year, and she wasn't even on. I agree with that. But right now, who would really challenge her?
A bunch of different people that they could build up to challenge her. Like, Becky could challenge her instead of doing this stupid stuff with Trish. I mean,
thank you. Finally, somebody agrees with me saying it's a stupid story. I don't like the Trish Stratus thing. I freaking hate it. I'm not going to get into that, though.
So, I do want to do one more thing because AJ has asked nicely a couple of times for it about the changes to commentary. So Michael Cole and Wade Barrett are moving to Raw, and Cole is also going to be on SmackDown.
So they're getting rid of the announcer that's on Raw with Corey Graves.
So beginning August 7th, Michael Cole and Wade Barrett will serve as commentators for Monday Night Raw. This marks a return to Raw for Cole, who first appeared, blah, blah, blah. It will be Wade Barrett's first time doing commentary for Raw, in addition to his in-ring career, blah, blah, blah. Cole will also remain on the commentary team for SmackDown, where he will be joined by Kevin Patrick and Corey Graves, beginning August 11th. So SmackDown's going to have 3 people, where Raw had 3 people before.
I mean, Michael Cole has almost become like the GOAT commentator all around. I mean, ever since Pat McAfee came in by his side, Pat McAfee helped him a lot. Like, he rejuvenated him. I mean, if you go back and watch SummerSlam last night, every time the camera was on Cole, he was out of his seat. He wasn't even sitting down. He was into everything that was happening. Almost every time. And he brings a lot of energy to the show as a commentator. So him being on both shows, I mean, I won't mind it. I wouldn't even mind hearing him on an NXT broadcast. Why not?
Better than Booker and Vic Joseph. Well, I like Vic Joseph, but Booker not so much.
I like
Booker
Booker over. I never connected with Vic Joseph. I don't know. I
Like
wasn't.
Shadow says, if Big E does Raw commentary with Wade Barrett on the fucking same team, that would be gold. Wade and Big E together would just be comedy gold. Like,
Well, Al?
Well, boys, I'm going to bid you an adieu so that y'all can talk about things that are outside of my wheelhouse. So, behave. Thank you, gentlemen. I will be back for the end.
Well, guys, this is it. The meat and taters of the conversation. It's one of my favorite series that we do. It's eloquently named The History of the Strap. And tonight, specifically, we're going to dive into the Impact World title, sir. Sirs, plural, multiple of you. So, in the history of Impact, there's that echo again. Did anybody else hear it?
No.
Am I going crazy?
No. I hear it every time. I don't know what it is, but I hear it.
Is it you, Al?
It might be like when I fuck with something on my computer. I don't know.
Okay. See, everybody else is hearing it too, so I'm not crazy. And it's nothing on my side that's causing it to happen. Anyways, I digress. Did you see the Eric Young promo? No, not yet. I'm going to get caught up on Impact. I hear the echo. Maybe we're crazy. Maybe we're all crazy. We're all a little crazy. But, okay, so in 2002, all right, I'm going to paint the picture for you guys. Like, we're going to set up the conversation. 2002, Jeff Jarrett and Jerry Jarrett were like, fuck it, WCW closed. We're going to go start our own promotion with Hookers and Blow in Nashville. We're going to call it TNA. All right, total nonstop action. And you know what? We don't need no fucking TV deals. Who needs TV deals? We're just going to do weekly specials and pay-per-views, and that's it. We don't need no stinking TV deals. We don't need nothing. So boom, okay, TNA happens. It was born, and through it, they had a licensing agreement with the National Wrestling Alliance, and they were like, we're not going to have a world title. Okay, we're going to start with the world title. Okay, Jaxo, it's sitting over your shoulder right now. Right, it's over. I can't point. I'm pointing at my screen like you guys can see it.
I'll grab it.
Room. Okay, so when it started with the TNA, and it was the 10 pounds of gold. And if you know anything about the Will Gray, it's my favorite title belt of all time. So to be able to talk about it a little bit right now is pretty amazing for me. With the 10 pounds of gold, the NWA world title being their first champion in 2002, Ken Shamrock, gentlemen, won the inaugural TNA title and became the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion over Malice. All right, so we're going to start here with Ken Shamrock. TNA Impact starts right here with it. Ken Shamrock, kind of, thinking about your rundown of who he was, not just pre-WWE in the UFC, then his WWE run, but then you think about who he was by the time he got to Impact, because he had been long since removed from MMA. He was almost just a wrestling guy at this point in a lot of ways. So looking at it from the very beginning, the first TNA champion holding the 10 pounds of gold, Ken Shamrock. Jax, you came to me and you said, dude, I love Impact Wrestling. I want to be a part of this conversation. All three of you had a special inkling in your heart for TNA Impact. So I'm going to start with you, Jax. What do you think about Ken Shamrock and that first run in TNA where they were using the 10 pounds of gold?
I think this might be a hot take. I don't know if Shamrock was the one to take it. at the time. I'd have probably tried to get, like, I know he held it for so long, but I'd have kicked it off with Jeff Jarrett. He was coming off a big name being in WCW. At the time, I think Shamrock was getting to the end of his career, where Jeff Jarrett was just firing it up.
I think in 2002, Jeff Jarrett was coming out of WCW, running with the, he had the big gold belt. He was in NWO Silver and Black. Like, Jeff Jarrett, not to mention the fact, starting in Nashville with what they were doing initially in the asylum and everything that was going on, like, Jeff Jarrett is to Nashville wrestling what Jerry Lawler is to Memphis wrestling in a lot of ways. So, like, this dude was already royalty, so it would have been the perfect first person to put your belt on, so to speak, right? Like, Sean, Mike, y'all jump in the conversation here. What do y'all think about Ken Shamrock being the first Impact champion? Like, was it the right call, wrong call, maybe a different one in a different light?
I think it should have been, Ken Shamrock, I think, could have been at least the second champion, but maybe like a new face, like they could have had, like, at the time with the people that they had, like I want to say AJ Styles, but like someone with a new face that they can build up as a megastar. So it could have, like, they always try to be different from the WWE and WCW, and with the new face, they could have really done that.
Yeah, I agree with Sean in this one. I think they could have taken somebody from, like, a different face and put that championship on. At the same time, with it being Jeff Jarrett's, starting up, TNA, at the same time, I don't think it would have been a problem putting it on him either. And especially with it being an exclusive, you paid, what, $10 a month on pay-per-view to watch. Mm-hmm. You only had certain eyes that paid to watch it. I don't think they would have gone wrong either way with putting it on either a new face or Jeff Jarrett having that championship, but they would have probably benefited a little more because you would have heard, oh, Jeff Jarrett's the champion in this, new promotion. That's almost like what AEW did. Chris Jericho was their first champion. People heard that and said, ooh, I'm going to go check this out because Chris Jericho's here and he's their world champion. Let's see what this is all about. So it's a 50-50. I can swing both ways with it.
You heard it here first. Mike could swing both ways, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Okay, so after Ken Shamrock, one of my favorite wrestlers for character work ever got to hold the title, okay? And he was the first African-American, okay, in 60 years of history to hold the 10 pounds of gold. And this was, I think, in 2002. We might be into the 2003 stretch right now. And that was Ron Killings himself.
Hell yeah.
Our fucking truth. He's a friend of the show. He follows me, Al, and Botched Spots. We love our truth. We always have for a long time. Big shout out to the boy. But he won the 10 pounds of gold. This wasn't the smiley, laughing little Jimmy R-Truth that we know in WWE. This was a hard-hitting, down-to-earth, nitty-gritty, hard-working R-Truth Ron Killings. What do you guys think about Ron Killings winning the 10 pounds of gold and having a chance to win the strap?
It was fucking fantastic. Especially him being like, oh, everyone's against me as well. Like, and they kind of play, like, the race thing into it, especially being in the South where they were. It was fucking fantastic for Ron, all the way up to, him doing my favorite gimmick in TNA, which was the 3 Live Crew. So
it was very reminiscent of WCW putting the strap of Ron Simmons a decade earlier. Like, it had that same vibe, which is very disheartening with it being in the early 2000s. And it still had that, oh shit, they just put a belt on an African-American guy. Like, why was that? Like, it's a totally different can of worms to open on a different show, but, like, Ron Killings deserved that. And I always make it a point to remind people, like, when they talk about, like, silly, jokey, laughy Ron Killings R-Truth now 24/7 R-Truth. I'm like, this man held the 10 pounds of gold and at one point was arguably the best worker in TNA Impact. And I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that. You know, like he was very arguably the best worker in that specific, you know, promotion at the time.
I just watched that match when he won the world title the other day. And phenomenal match it was. When he came back into WWE and he got his shot at the WWE Championship, let's say his only shot at the WWE Championship, I was excited. I was like, all right, awesome. You know, he's a heel. He's being a little more serious. Yeah, he has the whole like little Jimmy thing going on. But of its own, he's being a heel. He's being more serious. Like, could this be the time? Even if it was for a day, because back then, pay-per-views were on a Sunday. You got Monday Night Raw. Even if it was for a day, let him hold the championship. He held the NWA championship. That was awesome. But no, they stuck with their guns and they had him doing the funny thing. And that's why I was happy to see him win the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship and have that world, because after that, going back to WWE, it was just a complete joke. It was. And I wish they would have put the WWE title on him, even for a day.
So wrapping out this 2003-2004 stand, I legitimately wish I was kidding, but it seems like Jeff Jarrett and a very young, short-haired AJ Styles traded this belt off like 5 or 6 times inside that 2-year span. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but these two men dominated the 10 pounds of gold from 2003 and 2004. They had huge feuds going back and forth. Jarrett finally had his chance to shine, get the belt, be the guy. AJ Styles also had a chance to finally step up, because keep in mind, this is the young AJ Styles that made it in WCW like 6 weeks before they decided to close the effing doors, right? Like as soon as he gets his deal, they sign him. Oh shit, we're closing. WCW's done. He gets lost in the shuffle, doesn't get picked up by WWE, and ends up here. You know, and this is AJ Styles at this point in his career. So, starting with Jeff Jarrett, he is the son of the owner. Him and his dad put their mark on it. They started Impact. He didn't get his first title reign for the first 2 years, almost 3 years of the promotion. What do you guys think about Jeff Jarrett at this point in his career? Not the idiot that's on our TV on Wednesday and Saturdays now, but the guy who was a viable superstar that had just held major world championships in both WWE and WCW beforehand. Any of you? I will call names if I have to.
I enjoy Jeff Jarrett's runs. And I especially enjoy, like you were just saying a minute ago, the AJ Jeff Jarrett series. It took, and if you look, and I always like to look at it this way, what if WCW would have stayed in business? Like that
could have had that
TNA
match at Summer or at Spring Stampede or a fucking Fall Brawl or something.
Yeah, we could. There was the talent that WCW had coming in at the end of it was preparing to take them to the next level. And I don't disagree with any time Jeff Jarrett held the NWA title, but I do have to disagree with you for once, Will.
Yeah.
He's not an idiot. He is the strut in Jeff Jarrett, and he makes AEW a better place.
I love you, Jack Spo, but you and I finally have a disagreement that we can agree on. Jeff Jarrett is better behind the curtain than he is out front of it. I think he should be a producer or something in that capacity more so than a front of house like participant in pro wrestling.
We have to admit that man has stayed relevant for years.
He's been able to stay relevant. He may not be able to draw he can't draw a stick figure with a Sharpie, but he's somehow been in the business for 50 years. Any of you guys finished any thoughts on Jeff Jarrett?
So, I mean, him, getting his hands on the NWA title, I think was an awesome thing, especially for the promotion. I mean, the first year and a half, 2 years, not holding it. Again, it goes back to our talks of him being the first, champion. You could take it, you can leave it because of the fact of being on pay-per-view. This goes back to even being the WCW champion and what he was involved in, in 2000. That kind of put a damper on his reign with what happened. So I think him winning the NWA title the WCW thing will never go away. We'll always remember it. But it slightly helps a little bit, for those that don't really look too deep into history. If that makes sense.
I don't mind his couple reigns, but the continuous of him putting himself over for the title multiple times, I don't know. It kind of ruined it for me. And that's why I never really cared for Jeff Jarrett.
We'll talk about Bobby Roode's reign here in a little bit, which is the second longest of all time behind Alexander's. But we are dividing this up into two parts, mind you, for the people in the chat. Like, we're going to do the first 10 years, and then we're going to do from 2012 to 2023 later in the month. But when you look at this right now, that's a perfect way to look at it, Sean, to segue into AJ Styles here. Because I was just talking about AJ in 2002 when he came over to Impact after he got let go from WCW, WWE after the merger happened. He was that young kid trying to still get over from Georgia, mind you. You know what I mean? So when he came in, had they given him the belt instead of doing the back and forth for the 18 months to 2 years with Jeff Jarrett, if they had just let AJ Styles run with this title and be the first 250-day reign or 300-day reign and really let AJ dig his heels into this and run with this title, could that have put a different image on AJ Styles earlier than it did? Because he got the shine no matter what, because he was a superstar. You knew he was going to make it. But had they not tossed the title around so much, could that have put that light on AJ Styles sooner, you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay. So this is the shenanigans. This is the first one. And when I read this, I said to myself, guys, they did this before in the NWA. They rebooked this exact story with Flair and Carlos Colon, okay? Except it's not Carlos Colon in Puerto Rico this time. It's Ray Gonzalez, all right? This is going to be a stretch. This is kind of a deep cut because they were on a tour in Puerto Rico, okay? April 3rd of 2000, okay? Gonzalez beats Jarrett for the NWA 10 pounds of gold. And then the very next day, Jarrett beats him in the next house show to bring the gold with him back to the States when the tour ends. TNA never officially acknowledged it because of some shenanigans with how it happened and everything, okay? Almost down to the books on how they booked Carlos Colon and Ric Flair with the NWA titles in these late 70s, early 80s. Now it's Ray Gonzalez and Jeff Jarrett. What do you guys think about it when they go to these territories and they put the hometown shine on somebody like a Ray Gonzalez or a Carlos Colon, and they let them win the title? Even if they're not going to make it official, they still let them hold the belt over their head in their hometown of San Juan, Puerto Rico, or wherever it is. Like, what do you guys think about the promotions doing this kind of shenanigans?
Kind of reminds me of when Vince did that to Antonio Inoki with the WWF title.
Exactly the same thing. Great point, yeah. Sean. Yeah.
If you're not going to recognize it, don't fucking do it.
We're getting there, AJ. You know that's coming. If they're not going to recognize it, then don't do it. Right? Is that what you're saying, Sean?
Yeah.
Mike, is that what you think as well?
I agree. Yeah. It's understandable. You want to put that as you said, the hometown shine. There's many different ways of doing that in this sport. And, it's exciting, put the championship on the person, but you're not acknowledging it. So even if they would have done something where it could have been a DQ or count out, any way he would have won, you still would have got that hometown crowd would have been excited that he got announced as the winner. Many different ways of doing it besides acknowledging a championship change.
The next dude that enters the chat of the NWA/TNA/Impact World Championship conversations is one of my favorite minds for the business. Okay. So this puts us to 2005. So we're 3 years into TNA's just talking about the people, just hitting the main parts of the guys who held it, okay? I'm going to say this name, and I want you guys to tell me your first thought when it comes to mind. Raven.
Ooh.
2005, Raven won the 10 pounds of gold.
Clockwork Orange.
Ooh, the Clockwork Orange House of Fun match with Mickey James in them, right?
Mickey James, CM Punk, Shane Douglas.
Yes. This is absolutely a shameless plug for my interview. But when I interviewed Mickey James, it was on the Impact 20th anniversary leading up to Slammiversary. And I brought this match up, and she talked about, check that interview out if you haven't heard my Mickey James interview. She talks about how cool it was to work with Jeff and to work with these guys, because she was like, they worked with me like I was one of the boys. You know what I mean? Granted, I'm not a 250-pound man. I'm, a 175-pound woman or whatever. But the point is, they still allowed her to work like a man. And she was like, had they not started doing that then, you wouldn't have your Thunder Rosas or your Britt Bakers or anybody like that now, because it was like Sensational Sherry crawled so that Lita could walk, and Lita walked so that people like, the girls today and even the girls back then were able to do it. Mickey James and the Clockwork Fun match, so that way they could do these ridiculous hardcore death matches. What do you guys think about Raven?
I think he brought some, I'm going to say some fun to the NWA title, like the hardcore aspect that he brought, and just you wanted to see violence at the time. Him being a former ECW guy, of course, you're going to expect that. So the strap was interesting to watch at that time with Raven holding it.
Sean took the words right out of my mouth. I say this all the time. Sean likes to live rent-free in my head with things. When it comes to talking about, so he likes to say things before I say it. Same thing. He brought a lot of fun to the championship and the hardcore style. I mean, yeah, exactly what Sean said.
Against all odds, 2006. All right. This man held the 10 pounds of gold, and he won it there by pinning a 2-time TNA NWA world champion. And that man was none other than a up-teen billion-time WWE tag team champion, WWE world champion. He had all the bells and whistles, and that was Christian Cage. He came out of WWE. He had a chance to kind of shine on his own in a promotion that wasn't part of the Fed. He wasn't part of the system anymore. Captain Charisma, yes, AJ. He came out of it, and he had a chance to show people who Christian Cage was. Not Christian, not Edge's brother, kayfabe, like Christian Cage. When he popped onto the scene and came out, and he had a chance to hold the 10 pounds of gold. What do you guys think about Christian Cage kind of coming into his own at this point of his career?
So I went back and I watched when Christian Cage made his debut in TNA. And I know I'm going to get a lot of backlash for this, but it kind of gave me a small little inkling of what we felt when Cody came back to WWE. Like, Cody left, went out, did his thing, came back, and we got that feeling we knew Cody was going to be huge in WWE this time around. I got that feeling of Christian is going to be huge in TNA because of where he's coming from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And your first thought is he's going to be a world champion here. And it's not going to take long to do it.
And it didn't really. He won a world title within his first year being with the company. A year putting his boots on the ground, he had the 10 pounds of gold over his shoulder. It didn't take him long at all.
But to Mike's point, like I said this before on the table spot, TNA loves to bring in ex-WWE guys and put the strap on them, no matter who they are, what division they are. But for me, yes, that was Christian's best run in his career. Was the TNA NWA championship. Was him coming from the creepy little bastard gimmick to Christian Cage, Captain Charisma, and even having Tomko in his back pocket. through his reign as a heel NWA champion. So for me, that was my favorite iteration of Christian. I mean, to be fair, next to what he's doing now on AEW, where he's just shitting on people's dads and everything else.
He kicked his own daughter out of the arena.
Yeah.
Like that's the best.
This is the menace Christian that we're seeing now. Like,
I've always liked Christian, but I've liked Christian outside of WWE.
Mm-hmm.
I never liked how WWE has treated Christian as a character, and everywhere else he's gone, he's excelled.
Well, that was even when he went back to WWE after being in TNA. Is like you had that feeling he was going to go back to WWE, and my question for I have a question. If you don't mind, Will, I do have a question for you guys.
Absolutely.
Okay. If Edge wasn't forced to retire, do you guys think Christian would even got his hands on the world title going back to WWE?
No.
Mm-mm. He wouldn't have been able to be more over than Edge. Edge was over like Rover, as the kids say. And if he had never hurt his neck, he would have continued. Edge could be up there in that Randy Orton conversation of that 13 and 14-time champion by this point because he was so over. And this run that he's had this time, had he not torn his tricep, could have very much been like his Shawn Michaels swan song, like coming back. He could have very much had gotten a world title run this time had he not hurt himself again. Yeah.
And him, even with the new world title, him and Seth would have been a great rivalry.
Agreed. Towards the end of the NWA run with the TNA title, we saw Sting win it. We're going to wait to talk about Sting because when we get to Sting here in a minute, that's the Sting I know everybody's going to want to talk about. Abyss won the title, and I thought it was kind of weird because he won it like in a fluke DQ finish that also allowed the title to change on a DQ finish. Like, I thought it was kind of a weird, funky way to give somebody the belt. Does everybody else agree that's kind of a yucky way for the person to win the title, right?
To me, Abyss was like kind of TNA's Kane. You know what I mean? They'd give him the title and then just...
Kane or Mankind-ish, like kind of that boiler room style character, right?
Yeah, and just give him the title and just kind of like have him have a short reign with it.
Abyss produced one of the matches on SummerSlam. I don't have the list up in front of me anymore right now, but producing in WWE even in 2023.
Yeah, I would agree. I would lean more towards like the Mankind, character though, because later on in the years we got, and I know you're going to get further down the road with the years, and everything, but we got him playing as Abyss and then him playing as Joseph Parks.
Yeah,
two characters.
Very reminiscent of Mick Foley being Mankind or Cactus Jack or Cactus Jack and Dude Love, depending on which two characters he was at that time.
Yep.
So this is where it gets fun because the NWA was like, no, bro, it's not you, it's me. What's up, Cam? Thanks for stopping by. I saw you lurking. I'm glad you're finally part of the conversation now. I love you. AJ, I hated the last rights match versus Sting. We're about to get some quality Sting content here, my friend.
Sting!
It's Sting! Okay. So the NWA is like, it's not you, it's us. We're going to go our own way, do our own thing again. And in 2007, they do the inaugural, as far as I could tell, this was the first time they'd done it. It was the inaugural King of the Mountain match. And
this is when Dixie Carter took over, right?
In 2007. This is the Dixie Carter reign, yeah. So he wins the inaugural match, Kurt Angle, in 2007, as what we love to acknowledge and talk about is the old Perk Angle, as it were. And this is me saying this as a trigger warning. I don't at all take substance abuse as a joke. I've had friends and family members and loved ones fight with abuse. If you have issues with abuse, get help, ask for help. That's not at all what we're doing. Pause. Perk Angle. The dude lost his mind. Okay. So we'll get to that in a second. King of the Mountain, okay? Essentially a reverse ladder match, y'all. I know you guys know what it is. I'm explaining for the listeners because I do my due diligence as a journalist. It's a reverse ladder match, okay? To be eligible to win the match, You have to pin one of the other opponents in the match. That person then goes in a fucking hockey penalty box for 2 minutes. All right?
It's a shark cage.
It's like a fucking shark cage, yeah. And so after you pin somebody, okay, you're then eligible to go to the ref, who is at any point circling the ring with the title belt or the briefcase or whatever's up for grabs in the King of the Mountain match. Once you pin somebody, you get the briefcase. You then have to climb a ladder, okay, and hang it up above the ring. Okay, so literally reverse ladder match. You get multiple people in the box, in the cage. They start duking it out. Alliances tend to form in there. There's all kinds of some weird shenanigans that can happen in a King of the Mountain match. Kurt Angle wins the inaugural TNA World Champion. At this point in TNA, we're starting to get to the point, guys, where we start seeing shit like electrified steel cage matches, and we start seeing some really wild stuff like in pro wrestling. This is where you've got Dutch Mantel and Dixie Carter and Vince Russo. Like, you start to get some names of some people that do some wild ass bookings. What do you guys think about
Don Callis?
Don Callis was in there, yeah. King of the Mountain, TNA World Title. They put the big silver belt face on it. It's a gorgeous belt. Like, what do you guys think about? Like, what do you guys think of it?
Better than the one they have now. Better looking than the one they have now.
You don't like the Red Impact title?
Not as much as the one that Mike's got right there.
That belt beautiful. Looks like an old school, like, boxing style, like, championship, IWGP World Title, like that style of belt. And keep in mind that, wasn't it Jeff Jarrett? Didn't he hold one of the IWGP belts at the same time as the TNA title?
Yep.
Wasn't he over there wrestling too? That's what I thought.
It was either him or Kurt Angle.
No, it was Kurt Angle. It was
Kurt Angle. You're absolutely right. The Midwelt Best is one of the most beautiful belts ever. Jamie Rose, you and I need to have a conversation with belts because it was Kurt. Thank you. I absolutely love discussing title belts. I wrote an article about belt designers.
But to your point, I believe that Kurt Angle in his Perk Angle days was a complete fucking machine. Crazy unstoppable. Did whatever the fuck he was thinking of. These crazy spots that you never saw him do in WWE. And to me, like, I know what he was going through during that time, obviously, and we don't make light of it, but that was his best version to me. Was when he was doing all those crazy things. He had no fucks given.
Zero fucks to give.
I definitely love the idea of it being a new match type, a new, type of ladder match. It was an awesome concept. It was. And as far as Kurt being the first champion, with him just coming in, what was it, a year before that? It was perfect. Like, they didn't put the title on him right away. They kind of just had him come in and not be a world champion. It was perfect spotting, perfect timing.
It was perfect because
he won the belt in a weird way too, because he won the 10 pounds of gold, then vacated it because they were dropping the thing, and then on a TV taping had to film winning the King of the Mountain match for them to say he won the TNA title. So technically speaking, he was the last person to hold the 10 pounds of gold and the first Impact champion at the same time. But the 10 pounds of gold reign was never actually acknowledged or recognized.
His reign came at a perfect time where he just literally ended Samoa Joe's winning streak as well. When he feuded with Samoa Joe.
Thank you for the bits.
And I got to see Kurt Angle as a TNA World Champion back in 2011 in a defense at a pay-per-view.
Nice.
It was at Bound for Glory in 2011 against Bobby Roode.
We're going to get to the Roode because, like I said, Roode had the second longest reign besides Josh. Sting. Sting's a multi-time champion. He won the 10 pounds of gold. He held the big gold belt back when the NWA was 3 letters that meant something. Sting gets the belt here in that 2007-2008 range, And this is when Sting was kind of like, this was a different version of Sting. He was in and out of heel Sting. He was that tweener between being babyface crazy Sting or being babyface crazy heel Sting. Like you never really, and then he gets into the Joker Sting when you start getting into the Hulk Hogan stuff and his interactions with Aces and Eights and like the main event Mafia and everything. How he the same stuff he did in WCW. And I always said this, where WCW's storyline is this, and then Sting was this. He was like the parabolic shape that kind of weaved in and out of whatever the main storyline was and whatever promotion he was a part of. He was like the DNA wrapping around the main storyline. You know what I mean? The electrons and the atom, however you want to look at it. That's who Sting has always been for whatever promotion. He's literally that for AEW today. He's that. Yeah, he's that heartbeat. He keeps it going. He's part of the machine that does the rotation. When you guys get into this era of Sting with, there's the echo again. I can't be crazy, guys. Somebody's doing it.
I'm not hearing any echo.
No, it just randomly happens.
And Al, are you doing something on your end still?
Check.
I mean, I'm doing stuff on my computer.
And it's happening? Okay, so it's got to be something she's doing over there then with the way it's...
To be fair, it happens on our show a few times.
Yeah.
So to getting into the Sting thing, I got to see him when he was in the main event Mafia as world champion, 2009, Lockdown, main event against Mick Foley. And I got to see that match live, but I later on bought the DVD and watched it on DVD. And I will say this, a lot of people that I talked to about this match, they seen it on pay-per-view and they said, oh, it wasn't that great of a match. It was one of those matches where you needed to be there.
I went to a TNA house show before.
Dude, with it being right here, man, like this is one of those, like, I'm joking, but it's gonna sound a little bit like dark humor. My parents separated when I was young, so it was like with TNA being right here in our backyard, my dad's weekends, it was either Sounds games or TNA house shows. Like those were the things we did on my dad's weekends because they were both right here in Nashville. They were both cheap as hell, and he could take me and my little sister, and it wouldn't cost an arm and a leg. So like I went to a ton of TNA house shows early on without even realizing I was a 16-year-old kid. You know what I mean? To me, it wasn't WWE. So what the fuck, like I knew about Indies and ECW, but even TNA was still so young. I was like, what is this?
And even the pay-per-view tickets, they were cheap.
Yeah.
My ticket was only $45. Front row was $75. The house shows, I know, front row was $50, and then you got the meet and greet where you got to go to the back. You got to go in before everybody else that didn't have a front row ticket to do a meet and greet on the stage and everything like that.
And here I am paying $150 tickets or $150 for our tickets.
For Multiverse United too. Well, I mean, pricing got more expensive now, especially coming out of the pandemic. But like I was saying, you had to be there for that match to really feel what that match was. And it was an awesome match live. But I will say this, if you go back and watch that pay-per-view, the match of the night was definitely Team 3D against Beer Money. Went all around the Liacouras Center. Like, that was the match of the night. But Sting as a world champion, like, I never thought I was going to get to see Sting as a world champion in real life. I never thought I was going to get to see, even Sting versus anybody or Mick Foley versus anybody or even Hulk Hogan. When I went to Bound for Glory in 2011, I seen Sting versus Hulk Hogan.
Just keep rubbing it
never
in.
Thought I'd see that.
So bragging camp going. Oh, I live right outside of Philadelphia. Fuck you, Mike. Like,
I mean, I could keep going, but it was just awesome to experience that. And Sting as a world champion, I think every time he was their world champion, it was fitting. It always fit. There was never a dull moment of him being a world champion there.
I have a question for Will.
Sir.
Because I grew up, I would go spend the summers with my dad in Alabama, so we'd go to Nashville a lot also.
Yeah.
Remember when Sting first came into TNA, where he wasn't wearing his makeup, he was just wearing glasses doing the vignettes?
Yeah, he came in and he looked like, this is going to sound like a weird analogy, but I think you'll get it. He looked like what Dijak is trying to look like now. Like Sting without the makeup, but he's wearing like the black aviator, so he still looked like Sting. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes,
Sting's kind of like Sting. A lot of people think Sting got into TNA right when they got their TV deal. Nah, he did a lot of their pay-per-view shit with him.
I wasn't sure when he actually got there.
He was doing pay-per-view vignettes when he first did TNA, because he filmed that movie, that his Christian movie in the asylum. Like all the wrestlers were old TNA wrestlers and stuff.
That's wild.
The Moment of Truth that I was talking about the other day.
That's the name of it. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, I do have it. That's why I like having friends that are smarter than me. You guys make my job so much easier. So we get to this run with the title, boys, and this is the point before where I personally say this was their, oh shit, you worked for WWE? Cool, you want to wear our belt? Like, you want to be our champion? Because you look at it, and I'm not taking away because I love most of the guys on this list. One of them's my all-time favorite. I've had a chance to meet him, love him. But it starts Mick Foley in 09 in Philly. Then it's Rob Van Dam, Jeff Hardy, Mr. Anderson. So, and then if you look at it being before then, you had Kurt Angle. So 5 of their first 7 champions were ex-WWE guys.
So you mean where they're kind of leaning into the Hulk Hogan era where everybody tries to block that out of their memories, right?
This is the point, ladies and gentlemen. I did like the fact that when I was doing my deep diving research into this, I didn't have to write that man's name down as holding the NWA or TNA title, because in my head, I could have seen Hulk Hogan being the guy, hell yeah, brother. Let me get that 10 pounds of gold. You know, like I could see Hogan being the kind of guy that would have booked himself into it just to say he held it. But I'm glad I never had to write his name down as somebody who held this title.
Well done.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, Daddy.
Talking to the dog.
But the WWE run, as I'll call it, where all these ex-WWE guys came in and they all had a run with the TNA title. Like I said, Foley, Van Dam, Hardy, Mr. Anderson, Angle. 5 of your first 7 are all WWE guys. Are you just WCW light? Like, is that kind of what this is?
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of the WWE thing. That's my main complaint with TNA is they favor the WWE talent over their own sometimes. Like, we just recently saw it with fucking Trinity. Even though you can argue Deonna was kind of that same, but Deonna was, working her ass off before WWE, and Mike's over there all pissed off, and he hates when I bring this up, but it's that point where WWE, they're like, oh, you're from WWE? Here, hold the belt. I'm like, give it some time at least, The
one thing I didn't like was the fact that they switched the 6-sided ring. That 6-sided ring made them unique.
Do you think, looking back at it, like if they had stuck with it, because that's a thing they do in some Lucha Libre promotions, is some of the guys down there in Mexico have worked the 6-sided ring, and it's been a thing. Do you think if they had kept it, it could have been that moneymaker for them? If they had kept it, would have been would have been their 2 rings for War Games or something crazy that just changes the way they're doing their system?
I mean, with everything that happened going into, the 2014-ish years, 15-ish years when things started to kind of go downhill, even still having the 6-sided ring, I don't think would have helped them. I mean, if they were to do it now, oh yeah, it would help them completely because it would be their unique thing. And a lot of people would probably ask, oh, how would they make the whole War Games 2 rings thing? It's a very easy thing to do. They still have the sides. They could still put them together. It would just be
Dude, you know how cool a fucking, what would that be? That would be a 10-sided ring.
Yeah.
Dude.
12.
Think about the shit you could
12.
do with that.
12 sides. Because it's
12 sides.
Both sides.
What you're going to lose. Think about the fact that you're going to lose 2 of your points because they're going to come together.
Yeah, that's true. So, yeah, you're
1,
right.
2, 3, 4, 5.
How would that look, though? That would look pretty fucking weird.
Well,
1, 2.
try and draw
6 plus 6.
Yeah, it would still be. You're right. It would be 12, not 10. I'm sorry, but still, like, it would be like 2. Fuck. Why 2 hexagons put together? So 2 diamonds.
So it would kind of look like that.
Yeah. Think about
That's
how
how
cool
it
that
would
would be. Almost like a figure 8.
Yeah.
Could you imagine World War III being there like that?
I think it would be a very unique thing. It would be unique to them. I think them bringing it back now to be Impact. But if they would have kept it throughout the down years, even with everything that was going, I don't think it would have helped them. It would have been unique to them, but it wouldn't have helped them in those down years.
To be fair, when Jeff Jarrett left, I don't think if they didn't switch from the 4 sides, he could have used the 6 sides in his failed Global Force Wrestling promotion.
He did.
Yeah, he did.
He did use it. I know. I'm saying it. I'm sure he probably couldn't use it when if they kept the 6 sides. He might have.
I just realized what time it was, and I really hate to say this, but we're gonna have to call it. We're gonna have to call it. We're gonna have to. But the good news is you're gonna have to come back for part 2 anyways. So when we come back for part 2, we're gonna be able to dive right in. We're gonna dive right in, to Beer Money, James Storm, Robert Roode. We're gonna get
peak TNA.
Austin Aries, Jeff Hardy with the custom belt. Like, we've got some great TNA action coming up.
Suicide.
Mr. Kennedy's, yes, Suicide.
Eric Young
Getting his title reign. Josh Alexander's, Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin.
Yeah.
Like, so much good TNA coming for part 2. But I'm going to throw Al back in now.
Oh, yes.
There we go. I'm going to come down here, move Al over there. So this is the part though. Welcome back. I'm going to do some housekeeping real quick. Then we're going to plug it. Then I'm going to let the boys go so they can get ready. Plug your stuff, Mike and Sean, first. You guys bounce. I'll do our housekeeping. Kill it. Y'all can be ready to go on your side of everything. So y'all go first. Plug everything. Tell everybody where to find you, what you have coming up.
So in about 15 minutes, if you guys stick around here on the channel, you can catch me and Sean on the Table Spot. You can find me on TikTok and Instagram. Yeah, exactly. That would look awesome.
Yes. Thank you, Scouts.
You can catch me on Instagram and TikTok at Metalcore Mike. You can catch me on Snapchat, Metalcore Mike 86, and you can catch me on Twitch. I have a gaming Twitch channel, Metalcore Mike Gaming.
Sean, tell everybody where to find you if you're not at Five Guys Eating Cheeseburgers.
You can catch me on the Table Spot right after this on River City Radio. You can catch me on one of my 3 TikToks because I keep getting banned. The Alpha Wolf Sean B, the Alpha Wolf Sean B 2.0, the Alpha Wolf Sean B 3.0, and the Table Spot TikTok. Also on Instagram, I'm verified. Yes, I fucking paid for it. Don't hate me. The Alpha Wolf Sean B 2.0. So you know it's
this
me.
motherfucker pays for Instagram, B.
There is one more spot you can catch me. You can also catch me here on Saturday nights on Prince's Movie Madness at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
All right, gentlemen, I'm going to remove you from the screen, but never from my heart. I love y'all. Have a great show. I'll see you on the other side in a minute when y'all get started. Oh, there it is. See, this in my heart, at the core of it, this is the symbolism of what Botch Bots and Chair Shots could be every Sunday if we really wanted it to be. You know what I mean? Like, I think I like a big red beard way more than I like a pair of yellow shoes any day of the week. I'm just throwing that out there. But Jax, tell everybody where to find you.
You can find me here on Tuesdays at 4:20 for Nerdy News at 4:20 with Will.
Yes, I love that show. That's my favorite show of the week.
And you can find me on Wednesdays at twitch.tv/WrestleTalkWolfpack.
Also love those guys.
And you can find me on Twitter at Jaxbo2020.
Miss Boss Bitch, you gonna plug your stuff?
Yeah, you can find me on the Twitter, never X, Instagram and TikTok at justagirl918. I'm currently in the process of posting some photos here and there from last night's New South Grove show.
Our stuff, as always, for those of you in the chat left, follow the Off the Top Discord. That's the hub for everything Rivet City Radio. In that realm, it's a direct plug to all of the hosts. If you're into merch and you want some of that sweet Botch Spots and Share Shots merch, cop it over at angrylemonade.com/botspots and share shots. It's a mouthful, but it's always worth it. This is super important because Jeff Bezos has way too much money. If you have Amazon Prime, you get a Prime gaming subscription. If you log in using Prime, you'll be able to give that subscription to somebody. Give it to us. Give it to the Wolf Pack. Give it to Creation World or Off the Top. Give it to Pollo Del Mar. We love Pollo from the NWA. Give it to somebody else. Jeff Bezos has way too much money. The lifeblood of Rivet City Radio is the Patreon. $5 a month gets you lots of ad-free shows. It gets you the My GM mode. It gets you After Dark. It gets you the Hill Support Group. It gets you the Power Rankings, which didn't go up this week, but we've got you. They're coming. All kinds of yummy Rivet City Radio Patreon exclusive stuff, so check that out there. Shout-outs. As always, follow It's Creation World, follow Bloodline, follow Off the Top Media, Wrestling with the Truth, Ted the Hillbilly Hill, follow our boys, the Wrestle Talk Wolf Pack, follow Fine Tuned Wrestling, follow Jaded Wrestling, our boy Taylor, follow Pollo Del Mar, the manager of champions and the champion of managers from the NWA. That's it, really, guys. I think that's everything. Anything else? I'm about to start talking real fast, so speak now or forever hold your peace. 3.
I don't have anything else.
2.
1.
Now, as we close another episode of Botched and Chair Shots, take a minute. Thank you for listening. Remind you to go wherever you do anything on the internet. Like, follow, subscribe, unsubscribe, and unsubscribe again, telling me how great I am or how terrible I am. Either way, it helps the algorithm and it helps find new listeners. If you're feeling really generous to be one of the VIP people, head over to patreon.com and donate to the Rivet City Radio Podcast Network. You get some fantastic swag. We get some fantastic guests. It's a win-win for the boys from the table spot who are getting ready to go live right after we finish up here for my big bearded brethren, the Ginger Ninja Jaxbo. I love you, brother. And for the boss bitch, Miss Al. I am the Will Gray. Thanks for stopping by and listening, my people.